We're going to begin the season in Dawson City in the Yukon. Murdoch has decided to leave the force, and we find him mining for gold in Dawson City. There's a murder and there's a plot afoot out there that helps our hero to realize what his true calling is, and he runs into Jack London. And it was really great going out there. I've always wanted to see it, and it was far cooler than anything I'd ever imagined.
Take the CP rail to Hamilton immediately. Don't stay on the train any longer, or they will catch you.
Why are you doing this?
It's one mistake I can set right.
A murderer!
And exactly how long does your detective Murdoch intend to continue his leave of absence?
I don't know.
Murdoch is back on the force in heart and in mind, and knows, that it's his calling. He's back to work. He knows that this is what he does and what he does well. And season 5 puts him back in that, and happy to do so and to make the most of his situation.
I have learned of the marriage proposal you intended to make to me. If your feelings are the same, you must let me know before I make my vows. If they are not, then I will marry Darcy and we will never speak of this. Either way, I will know your true feelings.
In season 5, we've somewhat distanced Detective Murdoch and Dr. Ogden, and that has to somewhat be resolved. And I think a lot of the fans have been clamoring for some sort of indication as to what's going to happen. Julia.
I heard you were back.
You look... well, you're married now.
Do I look that different?
No, of course not. What I meant to say is, well, my best wishes to you and Darcy.
Ogden and Murdoch have this fabulous meeting of the minds relationship, and that's been going on for, stretching out over 5 seasons now.
And I apologize for not being able to attend.
I think I understand why you didn't.
Julia?
We must accept the decisions we've made, William. It's the only way to move on with our lives.
It's obviously, there's a great passion there, but the timing has just not been right. And for whatever reason, they're not two people who can compromise on moral issues. In the beginning, she's the forensic pathologist and working for the government in the morgue. And for the first 3-4 seasons, that's where Ogden has been. And then things start to change as she gets less and less comfortable with working that way and starts her own practice.
What I'm less sure of is why counseling impoverished women is a crime.
You were teaching methods of contraception.
I was simply following my conscience. I'm sorry, William, but since I began my own practice, I see the same thing day after day. Women run off their feet, caring for too many children. It's my duty as a doctor to do something about it.
We get really interesting storylines about a lot of stuff that was going on for women in health at the time, and, contraception, and a lot of issues to do with abortion.
The bullet entered the right ventricle, perforated the aorta, and then lodged in the man's spine. I imagine death was instantaneous.
From which direction do you think his assailant approached?
Don't we concentrate on the cause of death and not the circumstance?
From which direction?
I am working under Dr. Ogden. She's training me to be the new coroner. And she's very similar to me, actually. She's kind of boisterous at first and doesn't really know her place with Murdoch.
George, this is Dr. Emily Grace. She's a new employee of the coroner's office working under my direction.
Ah. Pleasure to make your acquaintance, Mr.
Crabtree. Detective George Crabtree. Well, acting detective, I should say.
So, let's get to work. Detective?
There's a new coroner working in the morgue who's sort of a cute, saucy young lady that Crabtree's quite taken with. He has a bit of a soft spot for her and hopes that she has a soft spot for him, and they get a bit flirty sometimes, and Crabtree hopes that's not all in his own head.
I'd have to say the thing that I enjoy the most about Murdoch as a character, but just the show in general, is being able to sort of float around all of these historical facts, navigate through that, and just have fun sort of threading them through the Toronto landscape.